Okay. More, Sam. More, coach.
Mora.
Okay, guys, this is the official press conference for the Currie Cup. DHL Western Province versus Vodacom Bulls. The Bulls open.
Hi, good morning, Jake.
Morning, Ashok.
I've seen you stuck largely with your strongest team. You said last week you're going to consider whether to rotate a bit or not. Just the thinking behind sticking with the first choice guys.
Yeah, well, I think firstly, we're playing against a very strong side. We haven't won at Newlands for a long, long time. Province probably have had 2 weeks to prepare. I mean, they didn't play last week, so they would have had a whole week to prepare for last week. Then they didn't play. Then they had their COVID testing quicker than anyone else could because of the fact that they never played on the weekend, which means they had probably a day or two more this week to train than the other teams who played on the weekend. So, yeah, I just think it makes sense for me to give us our best possible chance to actually go there and get a victory.
Jake, morning. Just Morne, obviously you haven't brought him back. Is it still COVID related or is there other reason?
Yeah, it's still COVID related. I mean, the reality is that you've got to have that 10-day sort of isolation period. I suppose we'll test him today or tomorrow and see whether or not, preferably today, and get the test results tomorrow. If he's allowed to go because of his 10-day quarantining time, then he might fly down. But I think at this point in time, it's probably more disruptive to get him in after not being in, basically being in isolation for 10 days. So, yeah, it's. I mean, obviously we'd like to have used him, but it gives us a chance to keep the same group. And as I said just now, that means we would have then trained for 2 weeks with the same group of players, just as Western Province would have done the last 2 weeks.
Okay. I was about to say that you guys have momentum on your side as much as Western Province have had a lot of rest this past 2 weeks.
No, Western Province have got momentum. I read that they were hitting their straps and that they played unbelievably well in the last 2 games. And, they say that they, so unfortunate that they didn't play last week because they've got their game back together and everything's fine. So, yeah, I suppose it's going to be a great contest between both our teams.
Jake, would you say that performance against the Stormers at Loftus was your best of the season? But how much can you read into that game looking ahead to this weekend?
Kenya, that was a great performance. I mean, considering that you don't score, 40 points against Province in 60 minutes, and that hasn't been done for a long, long time, considering the squad they have. And they've got to, let's not underestimate, I think to put things in perspective, they've got the same coaching staff for a long, long time. They've got the same players for a long, long time. This group's been together. We mustn't get ahead of ourselves. We've only been together for about 6 months, of which part of that was COVID, affected. The groups got together. Yes, we've done reasonably well. We've had 4 home games. As Rito quite rightly says, draws favoured us. So this is going to be a massive challenge for us going to play at Newlands, where we haven't won since 2009.
Just in terms of the continuity of the team, how are the guys physically? I know you mentioned before, Dwayne, before the competition had some knee rehab, and obviously he's always plays through the pain and he's a warrior.
Yeah. No, they're fine, Ashfaq. I must say, this is the best he's ever felt in a long time. He says he can't wait to get to Newlands and play against the Stormers. He knows it well. He knows the ground well, and he's got an added energy this week, and I'm not sure why. He's probably going home to see his family a bit. He's going to play at Newlands. He knows the ground well. He knows all those players. So yeah, I mean, he's the best I've seen him and the most fired up I've seen him in a long time.
Jake, just to build on that question, I mean, how important has Dwayne been to you guys this campaign, just in terms of his leadership? I mean, your choice of him as captain, just on and off the field, how much has he done for a team that's obviously come together, quite a few new faces there?
Craig, I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, you've all seen. I mean, he's played 80. Yeah, I mean, let's be fair and say he was man of the match in the Rugby World Cup final. He's not staying with his family. His family are down in Cape Town. His kids obviously go to school and he doesn't get to see them as much as he would like. He's come in here, he's given 100%, lives in the hotel, he's here all the time, he doesn't fly up and down. You know, I mean, what more can you want from a guy? You know, he's there, he's fronting up, he's playing, as I said, 80 minutes every week. It can't be easy for him. And yet, you know, he knows it's important to be the leader. He knows it's important that he's got to show the team that he's in. You know, we had some stern talks to lots of players about the fact that if you want to stay at the Bulls, you've got to show that you're committed. And I can't question that. I think that and no one can question that. I think the team sees just how committed he is. And, you know, I don't say it lightly when I tell you that he's really looking forward to this game. You know, he's been waiting a long time for this game, and he knows this is the one at Newlands. And there's obviously a lot of Springboks that are playing this weekend, and he wants to play well against them. And yeah, as I said, it's maybe a nice thing for him to go back and see a couple of his mates, and a couple of maybe, you know, his family will be there, and he'll be, at least, who knows, maybe it'll just give him a little bit of an added incentive to, you know, to really put a performance on.
Jake, playing the Stormers or Western Province up in Pretoria, there's obviously altitude that helps you guys, and
the draw.
Play yeah, the draw, all sorts of things. But it also...
We can't take the altitude with us, and we can't change.
No, I know. But also the kicking game works really well at Loftus. How much do you have to change from your game plan for when you go and play them in Cape Town?
Ken, it's interesting you say that, because the Stormers kick and Province kick more than any other team. So maybe doesn't work at Newlands either. You know, so. I mean, the irony is everyone thinks we kick the ball a lot, but I've looked at the stats and we kick it a lot less than most of the other teams. You know, in fact, the Stormers probably kick the ball, as I said, more than any other team in the competition. You know, so yeah, we're not phased. I mean, our style suits us. You know, what we're doing is we're doing well. You know, we also at the same time developing a team that's going to be playing in the Pro 16 next year, which is going to be in conditions that are not at altitude. You know, conditions that are probably going to be similar to the Newlands ground with a sort of soft underfoot as well. And you know, as I said, there's a long process for us. It's all building blocks that we're going to have to do, you know, well going forward as well. You know, we're going to play Leinster in Ireland. We're going to have to play Glasgow in Scotland. We're going to have to play Cardiff in Wales. So, I mean, the fact is we've got to be good enough, whether we're playing at altitude, whether we're playing at Newlands, whether we're playing at, you know, at Aviva Stadium against Leinster. We're going to have to be good enough to make sure that we can have the game that's best suited to get a result that weekend.
Jake, morning. Cobus here. Just adding to that, obviously it's a big setback not having Monet in the starting 15 for Saturday's game, but also it's a very good chance for Chris Smith to show that he's a player for the big moment.
Yeah, you know, that's the one thing, Cobus. You can't take pressure away from a guy who's running in a number 10 jersey. You know, when I coached the Springboks, I remember always used to give the number 10 jersey to a player and say, thank you for what you do, because you have more pressure on Saturday than the coach has. And that's exactly how it works. You know, the number 10, it's either when we win, he's a great general. When we lose, then he didn't take charge of the game, whether it's Nas Puerto, whether it's Butch James, whether it's Andre Pollard, or whether it's Chris Smith. You know, that you can never change. So it gives him a chance, but who knows? Maybe Cobus, we're not going to kick anything. Maybe we're going to run everything now because Mornay's not playing. But we'll see on Saturday what happens, because as Ken says, you can't kick lots at Newlands.
Meneer White, ja, maar ek vat 'n bietjie terug nou Vicky. Ek weet nie of jy kan nou nie, maar wanneer was jou laaste keer as 'n afrigter in beheer van 'n span wat jy op Newlands gespeel het? En die rede hoekom ek vra, ek sien deel van julle build-up tot hierdie match, en selfs jy het verlede so baie spanne wie om hulle laaste wedstryd op Newlands te speel. Wat was jou laaste wedstryd gewees? En sekerlik gaan die Bloubulle nie daar noodwendig om 'n bos blomme af te gaan lei daar by die WP die naweek.
Ja, jammer Percival, jy het nou opgebreek bietjie, so ek het so nou en dan klein bietjie stukke van dit verloor. Jy sê wanneer laas was my laaste wedstryd as afrigter
op Newlands, ja.
Ja, ek kan nie onthou nie, maar ek onthou ons het met 2 skepskoppe gewen teen Australië met Frans Steyn daar, en ek dink ons het in Nieu-Seeland gewen en Victor vir Terry Wipo uitgeslaan het. So ja, dis herinnere wat ek onthou, en dis wat ek kan nie onthou waar ons laas daar gespeel het nie.
Vir jou kaptein gaan natuurlik ook 'n emosionele wedstryd wees, van hy het 'n groot deel van sy loopbaan het hy daar gespeel as 'n Stormer-speler. Soos ek in Afrikaans gevra het nou net 'n rukkie gelede. Julle gaan natuurlik, as much as daar klomp emotion is, julle gaan nie daar om 'n bunch of roses te gaan aflewer daar by die Newlands.
Nee, Percival, kom ek stel dit so, ek is 'n traditionalist. Dis die laaste keer wat ons, jy weet, op Newlands gaan speel. Die stadium gaan van hierdie tyd, volgende jaar gaan dit verby wees. So ek dink, jy weet, die geskiedenis en alles wat daar deurgegaan het, die spelers wat daar op daai veld gespeel het. Daar's programme op Supersport wat jy nou kyk waar Jean de Villiers en Skalk Burger en daai manne praat van die herinneringe wat hulle op daai veld het. En dit is dieselfde met almal, jy weet. Ek het vandag van spelers gesê, dis die Teen Stoffbergs en die de Villiers Vissers en die Monay Du Plessis, Rob Lou, jy weet, Neil Burger, Achie Koch, toe ek jong was daai spelers wat daar gespeel het, en dieselfde van Noord-Transvaal, jy weet, dis Naas Botha en Louis Moelman en Thys Lourens en daai manne. So daar's 'n groot geskiedenis wat uit daar, weet, op daai veld en spelers wat daar gespeel het, en ons wil net seker maak ons gee daai veld en daai, ja, hoe kan ek sê, daai oomblik wat ons hierdie naweek het, ons moet die krediet gee en die respek gee, en ons moet seker maak, jy weet, hierdie game gaan onthou word vir die feit dat ons op ons beste was en ons self die beste geleentheid gegee om jy weet, om verwel te sê vir daai veld. Jy weet, ek was gelukkig genoeg om by Parc de Prance te wees saam met Nick Mallet se span toe ons die laaste keer teen Frankryk daar gespeel het, en Pieter Rousseau het 4-3 gedruk, ons het met 50 punte gewen, en jy weet, dit kan jy nooit verander nie. Daai gaan bly in die geskiedenis van rugby. So wie weet, wat gaan die telling wees Saterdag? Laaste keer die Bulle teen die WP speel op Newlands. Jy weet, dit gaan geskrywe word in die boeke vir 'n lang tydjie, en ons het 'n kans om my chapter, jy weet, klaar te kry soos ons dit wil klaar kry.
Jake, you've spoken a lot now about how province are saying that they are sorted out and they've won 2 games in a row, but what do you make of them? Guy like Warwick Galant, a former Bulls player, has been in top form, but yeah, just your overall impressions of province.
Ashfaq, you must write this properly then, so you get the right answer. They're a fantastic side with a settled group of coaches. They've got the World Cup winning captain back this weekend. They've got some fantastic players. You know, they have been consistently one of the form teams in all competitions. You know, they don't often lose out when it comes to playoffs in Currie Cups. They've got an incredible record at Newlands. They haven't lost to the Bulls since 2009. I've got no doubt that they're going to be up for it. They were, you know, obviously beaten convincingly, yeah, and that will drive them. So, you know, again, it's going to be a fantastic opportunity for us to measure ourselves. They've got World Cup winners in their team. They've got, they've got everything in their favor. They're playing at home. They've got, as I said, the World Cup winning captains come back to join them. They've got all the energy they need. So we're going to have to be as good as we have to be, and we're going to have to be as good as we have been this year in our best games if we want to get a result there. And that's what's so exciting. You know, I can't underplay it enough. You know, those Currie Cup for long periods of time haven't had Springboks, haven't had, you know, the best players playing against each other. And this is almost like it was in the old days. It's almost the same. And I still think it can get better. I still think we can bring some more overseas-based players back to play in this competition. But this is as close as it's been in the glory days. And I think that's what's so exciting. It's just a pity we didn't have supporters this weekend where we can, you know, really reminisce about what it's like to play at Newlands in front of a crowd that have consistently also been one of the best crowds in world rugby.
So it's almost like the Bulls against the Springboks, Jake. You've got no chance.
No, I didn't say that. I said the Springbok captain who hasn't been around for a while. I think that's what I'm saying. It's like Liverpool and Orlando Pirates. I didn't say that either. So let's just make sure we understand that. You know, top rugby sides in the world, like top football sides, Barcelona, Juventus, Real Madrid. If you look at the top sides in the world, these two sides that we're playing on the weekend, Western Province and the Bulls, would be considered in the same vein as Liverpool, Man United, Barcelona, Juventus. I know it's a little bit of media hype, and I'm appreciative of that, but it's going to be a massive game, guys. And all I know is I'd much rather have won 39-6 in the first round than going to the second round having been whacked on the jaw.
Any more questions?
Anything else, guys?
Jake, jy het genoem dat jy het voorheen genoem hoe Roan Nortje veral in lockdown, jy weet, sy conditioning verbeter het, jy weet, en hy het regtig hard gaan werk en dinge. Maar hy het net progressively elke week meer en meer gegroei en nou geword nie net in die lyn staan organiseerder wat hy nog altyd was nie, maar ook eintlik die enforcer. Ek dink hy maak die meeste carries van enige Bulls speler, jy weet, weekliks omtrent dinge, net jou indrukke oor sy vordering.
Ja, Heinz, I mean hy het gegroei en ek dink dit gaan so wees. Hy was jonk geweest, jy weet, en sy liggaam gaan verander. Jy weet, dit werk maar so as jy 21, 22 jaar oud is, jy weet jou liggaam verander sodra jy 'n bietjie ouer raak. So hy gaan in elk geval groter word, sterker word. I mean sy werk wat hy in die game doen is ongelooflik. Jy weet sy involvements deur die wedstryd, al is dit met carries en cleans en tackles en jy weet lynstaan drywe en lynstaan, jy weet enige iets wat hy betrokke is hy in 100% en hy gaan beter en beter raak. Jy weet hy herinner my 'n bietjie aan Mostert, Franco Mostert. Hy herinner my bietjie aan jy weet spelers soos Pieter Stef du Toit wat ongelooflik werk verrigting hê in die game. So hy gaan beter en beter word. Maar onthou ons speel teen 2 slotte wat jy weet is gedoop as die nuwe bakkies en die nuwe Victor. So ons het 'n groot game hierdie naweek en hy weet dit.
Jake, I just wanted to quickly ask, I know you mentioned the Pro 16 and quite a few coaches talking about going into that competition, but is there any clarity yet exactly when you guys will enter, you know, that competition at what stage of next year? And then just on reports from the weekend about Steyn and Junior Pokamelo being guys on the Bulls' radar, is that accurate?
So, Craig, let me quickly say, look, there's no finality, but there is talk of us going into the Northern Hemisphere. And I mean, obviously, there's lots of other things that are at play, you know, whether Free State's involvement or whatever. All I can say is that long-term, we will be going into Europe. I mean, that is what has been signed off by everybody. When it happens, you know, obviously, I'm not sure about those dates. We've now got to prepare as though then when we go to Europe, I spend a lot of time watching those games, whether it's Cardiff, Glasgow, or whether it's Ospreys versus Ulster. And the reason for that is because I don't know who we're going to play, and I'd like to see what the caliber of players like, or what the challenge is going to be, whether you play those teams in those conditions. Remember, it's this time of the year that we will be playing if we go into Europe again, which means it's, you know, freezing cold in Scotland, etc., etc. So that's going to happen. And the second part that you asked me, sorry, what did you ask me there, Craig? I didn't. Oh, in terms of France Steyn, and no, there's
just about France Steyn and Junior.
No, there's no rumor to that. I mean, I said there's no truth to that rumor. I mean, the reality is France Steyn, you know, as I said, everyone knows that I've coached him a lot. You know, he's got a contract with Free State. I'm not sure again how things work there. I'm sure going forward that there's no doubt that he'd want to play some sort of rugby if he wants to play in that British Lions series for the Springboks. But I mean, that doesn't mean he's going to the Bulls. That doesn't mean that, you know, we're going to bring him to us. I mean, the reality is until all those details are placed. Pokamelo, I can tell you that is no, you know, we've got enough loose forwards. I don't think getting another loose forward like Junior Pokamelo is going to help his career, because there's no ways with Miller Ace, who hasn't played much rugby for us this year, and with via Steyn as a junior and Yaku Labuskachny juniors that we're bringing through our ranks, you know, I can't really see that we're going to be able to leapfrog a guy like him above the guys already in our system. So, yeah, there's no truth to that. Let's have a look and see once we get finality of when we're playing and who we're playing against and where Free State fit in. I'm sure all those dominoes will fall into place.
Are you still talking to Marcel Coetzee, Jake?
As often as I can. I'll just ask him what it's like to play in Europe and what it's like at Ulster. And yeah, I mean, again, guys, I mean, the reality is guys have got contracts. And I'm going to say to you, we're busy trying to build a team. You know, we're in a very fortunate position where our shareholders are visionary and they want to do well. So, of course, we're talking to anyone who we think comes out of contract at a certain time. Remember, legally, you're not allowed to start interacting with players when they've got contracts. But we're maybe not talking to him. We're talking about him to our board members and to our CEO, Edgar, and making sure that long-term we want to create a good or special team like Liverpool and Man United and Barcelona and Juventus in Pretoria.
Thanks.
Okay. Anything else, guys? Ken?
Sterkte aan die Kaap, coach, en stuur maar groete af met vriende daar, coach.
Thanks, Jake. Good luck.
Thanks, Jake. Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jake.
Thanks so much.
Enjoy the Cape, Jake.
I'm going to. Thank you.
Thanks.